boys and girls. Last story we learned about God providing a wife for Isaac named Rebekah. And remember, the servant went back to Abraham's original home where he lived, and his brother had a granddaughter, and that was Rebekah. Well, Rebekah went back went to meet Isaac, and how wonderful it was when Isaac met her, and he fell in love with her right away, and he was so happy with her. And they were together for a lot of years. And unfortunately, something just like Isaac's mother, Sarah, where she did not have a baby for a long, long time, Rebekah didn't have a baby for a really long time. And she had no children for years and years and years. But finally, God blessed her with not one son, but two. She had twins. And when the twins were born, they were so different from each other. One of the twins was born really, really hairy. This baby had hair all over him, and his name was Esau. And the other twin was really smooth, and he didn't. He was kind of a bald baby, like my children were. And his name was Jacob. And as they grew up, they also grew up very different. So Esau grew up really, really kind of like a tough guy. He was very rugged. He loved to hunt, and he was still kind of a hairy man. And he would go out and he would hunt, and he would protect the family from wolves and things like that. And his father really loved him. Isaac just thought he was great because he was a very manly man, and he was kind of a tough guy. Well, Jacob was more like his mother. And Jacob loved to hang out closer to the tent. And he took care of the sheep. He was kind of a shepherd. And he learned how to cook from his mom. And he preferred to do things closer to the tent rather than going hunting and things. Well, one day, Jacob had been out hunting, and Esau had gone out hunting, and he came back super, super hungry. And he said to his brother, "I am starving. Would you please make me some soup, some stew?" And Jacob decided to take advantage of his brother by saying, "I'll make you some stew, but you have to give me something first. You have to pay me for it." And Esau said, "I'm starving. What do you want? I'll give you whatever you want." And he said, "You need to give me your birthright." Well, what is a birthright? See, Esau was born first. He was born first, and Jacob was right behind him, but he was holding on to his heel. And even when they were born, God made a little prophecy that God had said that the younger will rule over the older will serve the younger. And so Jacob was younger than Esau by a few minutes. But in those days, the oldest child always got to have the birthright, which meant that they were going to be the one that would inherit all of their father's belongings and things. Well, Jacob said to Esau, "I'll get you some stew, I'll make you stew, but you have to give me your birthright." And guess what? Esau agreed to it. He was so hungry he wasn't thinking clearly. He just said, "Well, what good is it if I'm dead? I'm starving to death here. What good's a birthright if I'm not even alive?" So he agreed to Jacob to give him his birthright. So that would mean that someday Jacob would be the one that would receive the inheritance. Oh my goodness. It's a special honor to have a birthright. And the firstborn son would get twice as much. And Esau was willing to give it up, all because he was hungry. And he wanted something right now. You know, sometimes we don't want to wait for things. We want things right now. And we're willing to do whatever it takes to get it right now. For grown-ups, sometimes that means we go into debt. We buy things on credit card instead of saving our money. But we're, like sometimes at Christmas, I want my present right now, and we want to open it before Christmas. But it's best if we wait, right? Well, Esau wanted that stew right now. And so he gave up his birthright. And that's something that would have lasted for years and years. But he wanted something immediately. Someday he would look back at that and he would regret doing that. But he acted too quickly and he suffered for it. So when we see something we want, sometimes it's our first impulse to just say, "I want it now," and not be willing to wait. Don't be like Esau and demand things right now. Be willing to wait and also be willing to think wisely. So that's one thing that Esau didn't do. But God had a plan for Jacob, a really special plan, and we're going to learn more about that as we continue our Bible lesson.